Look, this is gonna be real, it's gonna be raw, and it's going to be a long-form discussion, but I'm not gonna hide it from you 37 minutes in. Minecraft updates don't feel the same, and that's because they're not the same. They've gotten smaller, and there's one obvious reason that everyone ignores when they're trying to rip on Mojang, and it's the fact that they will only add new features now when game design allows. This is a huge change and a huge departure that really represents everything that you've been feeling recently, and so while we go into that, why don't we say that hello, I'm IBX3Cat, by the way, and this is my Update Adventures Let's Play, and where better a place to talk about updates than in a Let's Play that has been very much about them since 2012 when I started this just before 1.0 came out for Minecraft on the consoles. But anyway, with that said, let's start by going into why it is that I think that Minecraft is so different, but starting with a bit of evidence that everyone can agree with. This is the fact that if you look at April Fool's updates, because some people would argue, oh yeah, Minecraft has changed because the developers got lazy. They all got cushy office jobs where they don't really get measured on performance, and so unlike the rest of us who have to toil away all day, Mojang developers just like to do two things and then go home. This is something that is really easily on an emotional case. If you're not happy with something, why not blame the people who are making it and argue that they could just be doing it better? It's broadly true for a lot of parts of the world, but the thing it misses for Minecraft is that every single year we get an April Fool's update, and even though this is something that Mojang and I'm sure the staff don't heavily incentivize, it still comes out every single year and has massive features in there. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the most recent one. They added an entirely new physics system for blocks, basically, and that's wild to just pull off something so casual as oh yeah, this is just on top of what we're working on. In fact, it is likely that for many of the years of the drop system, we will get a bigger April Fool's update than we will get the main update that year, which is insane and really debunks the Mojang lazy theory, because why would they put all of their work into one update in a year, especially when it's something that people probably aren't caring about as much? It could be that Mojang are master trolls, but the more realistic answer is that, oh, the reason that they can put so much work and so much love and so much effort into these April Fool's snapshots, but they can't do the same for the base game, is because there's some magic missing ingredient, and I would say that magic missing ingredient is game design. This is something that is so important for every video game out there for incredibly obvious reasons, I think, but basically every game has to decide at some point what exactly it is that they think is most important to add, and Minecraft has decided to be very, very cautious in this regard, and so I think the thing that is clearly holding them back is the game design level. And so here's the question I want to ask: what is it about game design that's so hard that limits the throughput of a Mojang update from a year that, a year's worth of content is no longer never update sized or even bigger than that? But why is it that the throughput has been so limited? And that is the more intriguing question that I want to give the answer to today. So first reason I want to say as to why it is that it's so hard to design Minecraft updates in a way that feels like it hasn't always been true is the fact that actually, also, I think we built these a block too high, but I'll leave it there. That'll be a fun little feature. So one of the big reasons I think that has changed and why it is that Mojang has to, work so much harder, or rather why it is that they have to work so much less hard, seemingly, is because of the fact that we now have different expectations for updates. So one of the things that I think is really true is that as the Minecraft community has grown, it's also diversified, and we can say diversity is a strength all we like, and in many cases that can be true, but it also creates a real problem when it comes to steering the ship. That is to say that everyone wants something different now. Whenever I see a, something I thought was really interesting is a YouTuber friend of mine, I really respect him, Silent Whisperer, was recently pushing heavily to see renewable sand be added to Minecraft. The big thing they would like, the thing that would really make their day, is if Mojang, instead of doing all the silly stuff that they're up to, if they just added a way you could get renewable sand on Bedrock. You can get renewable sand via a bug on Java, so it's not game design, it's very much the opposite, I guess we could say. But you can get renewable sand on Java via a bug, but you cannot get renewable sand on Bedrock. Therein lying the issue that could be easily fixed if only Mojang would do it. But I heard that and I thought, actually, to me, that's the opposite of what I want. Even though, Silent Whisperer, and I'm sure a lot of very technical players would 100% agree that, yeah, this would be perfect. To me, I hear that and I say, no, I think that Minecraft having a farm solution for more and more of the game is not actually a good solution. I think that more, like as great as fun as it is to say that, like, yeah, everything should be farmable, I think there should be deliberately more items that are not. I think that even iron farms are a step too far, and that's me having a weird opinion, you might say. You might say, like, well, obviously, outside of people who are just strange contrarians who have funny looking noses, like you, Toy Cat, most people agree that we need to have this. But that means that immediately, assuming there is anyone who agrees with me, by Mojang adding something which is highly requested, they're actually making the game better, for the silent whisperers of the world, and slightly worse for the me's of the world, and indeed the people who agree with me. And, as simple as that might say for like something like renewable blocks, I saw a huge push for an audio update recently, because obviously, recently Mojang has started to deprioritize C418 music. That's not actually true, by the way, but it's what it's widely shared as if it is true, so some number of people definitely believe it. Also, I think I did that slightly wrong. I think this layer needs to be going up to here. There we go, and we got that right now. So like I think that like some people have been pushing for a huge audio update because they think that there should be more C418 in the game, and some people say, actually, C418 is good, but man, is the modern Minecraft music better. And so you can immediately see that there are huge rifts in the community that even if Mojang wanted to do these big swing updates, they're not necessarily going to land on the mark. There are some people who want an end update to really revitalize the dimension because they don't like it right now, and there are people who love the end in its current barren form, and if they saw an end update, they would want to see a mild one. And ultimately, this huge diversity in opinion means that if Mojang wants to make everyone happy, well, realistically, they can't, if I'm being real with you, but if Mojang wants to make everyone happy, they face a very uphill battle, which is very, very challenging to deal with. I think you can say at the easiest of times. As someone who, to some extent manages a much, much, much smaller audience here on this channel, there are always some people who say, like, yeah, I really want this, even though, the majority of people have a different opinion. And it's really hard to sometimes realize when you don't have a majority opinion. It's really hard to sometimes appreciate that, yeah, if Mojang listened to me, the game would be dead in a year. I think the most important thing would be adding that new combat change, because even though I'm building like this and I like building, I'm not someone who thinks that building should be the main focus and everything should come second, but there are some people who say that. Like, honestly, the only reason they're excited in new Minecraft updates, because they love building more than they love Minecraft, which I know it seems like an oxymoron, but hear me out, is what they want to see is new blocks that allow for new building possibilities. And then you see people, like, you might say, like, okay, well, that's really easy, like, satisfy the building community. No, the building community also has people who want Mojang to instead go into the game and, add basically the same textures that we have right now, but slightly different. If you don't think that's true, if you think that's me making something up, look at the debate around Sulfur and Cinnabar. Some people want a really vibrant, distinct block, and some people love that it's like a palette for Nevrac, because there's a type of building called palette building, where you basically just use as many blocks of the same color as possible, and that type of builder loves to see what's happening right now, where we're getting basically, we replaced the brand new blocks that they were going to add, they replaced those with blocks that look exactly like we already have, and again, that simple change, the simple fact that any one thing will result in a huge number of people who dislike it, is why hating on Minecraft is so popular. Even people who, you can rudely call them tourists if you want to, but people who don't play Minecraft are invested in how it is going, because, you probably have some opinion about should it go like this or like that, and that is a very fun thing about Minecraft, but also a very dangerous thing. I think that makes it very hard to actually develop features in a meaningful way, because you're always going to, as the community gets bigger, you always make some people unhappy, which makes the easiest path forward, it makes the default path forward, what if you just do nothing? If you just do doing nothing is not like just my dream day at work. Well, it's not actually. I feel like you'd lack fulfillment, but you get the point. Like right now, I'm having more fun talking to you while I play Minecraft than I would be if I was just talking to you or just playing Minecraft. There's sometimes it's fun to challenge myself a little bit to work out how this whole train station is coming together, while also working out, or also making sure we stay on our track. There's some really fun times to be had in doing something that is hard. So in a way, Mojang suffers. They do very little as a favor to us, except that feels wrong too, doesn't it? That doesn't feel like that can be correct. So, yeah, I would say that ultimately Minecraft is a game that, has this huge issue with a divergent community that diverges on basically any issue that we can have opinions on. For anything that you can have opinions on, someone is going to be there like, no, I don't like this actually. So something that makes me go crazy is that recently I saw people pushing for a bug fix update. Like, Mojang should just spend a year, don't release any updates till they figure out what the hell's going on and fix all the bugs. And I'm like, no, that is you do not speak for me, sir. Like millions of people might think that they speak for you, but even though what you're effectively saying when you're saying Mojang should work on bug fixes is, yeah, the game is perfect the way it is. I say the opposite. I love playing with new updates, and that's one of the most fun parts of the game to me. How dare you speak on my behalf? But again, big enough community, inevitably it's going to happen. So I think the other thing that, I think there are lots of voices and governing them is hard. And I think that the default position for a developer is, oh god, I'll make people upset if I make this giant change to how ghasts spawn. Do you know, for example, Minecraft added a brand new mob last year, the Happy Ghast, but rather than adding, the Ghastling and the Baby Ghast, rather than messing with the existing system for how ghasts spawn and exist, and man, I'd be so careful with creepers in my pace, but rather than messing with that existing system, they made a brand new mob called the Happy Ghast, which is kind of absurd when you think about it. Like, we could have just made a Baby Ghast, and if you tame it, then it doesn't become a Mad Ghast, and if you do, it doesn't. But they want to make sure that certain existing systems aren't messed with, and that's kind of a personal decision for some developers, I'm sure, but also it's one on a business level. Minecraft is a money machine. If you don't touch it, the game will just generate $1 billion in the next 4 years. Look, here's an article. Wait, no, this article is from 2012. In 2012, Minecraft was making $250 million a year. That was 2 years before Microsoft acquired it, and we saw all of the huge pushes for... Oh, hello. How's it going? But that was before we saw all the pushes for monetization. Can you imagine the sort of figures we must be talking about right now? I literally don't know that I can, which really goes to show, yeah, Minecraft has grown and it makes a lot of money, and when you mess with that, things go poorly. And so I think that all of this chapter can be rolled into one of the big issues that Minecraft has is that there are now higher expectations than there have ever been before. And, keep your expectations tiny, you won't be whiny. As a community, we've done the opposite. As a community, we've kept our expectations large, and now we will be smarge. I guess we'll be Marge, like a nice whiny, I guess not nice, but we'll have a whiny voice is what we'll have. And is that a good thing? I certainly would say, it probably doesn't feel like it's one, does it? But yeah, so we've got large expectations, and so we also have the issue of parity. One of the big things that April Fool's updates have is not just the lack of expectations, the lack of a community to steer them, the lack of a money machine to mess with, because they're fully instanced. Mojang could make a game-ruining bug in a April Fool's snapshot, and it's fine. It's April Fool's. It's a joke. It's just a broke Joe. Sorry, it's just a joke. It's a broke Joe. That's me if my name was Joe and I worked at Mojang. But I think that more seriously, it's like, yeah, they can mess with April Fools because there's no quality expectations, but also, crucially, there's no parity. This is one that I really try not to talk about too much, because some number of people will just be like, well, Bedrock players don't deserve to play Minecraft as much as we Java players, the minor community that outnumber them massively, that are outnumbered massively, and I don't like that. I don't think that it's healthy as a Minecraft community that we split off. I don't think it's healthy that we say, yeah, the people who want texture building are wrong and stupid and they should be murdered in the street. I don't think we should say that personally. That's my controversial take. But yeah, I do think that there's a more interesting kind of view on this to have, which is that, okay, so let's now build up here, nice and easy. I think there's a more interesting view to have on this, which is that, actually, as a community, we also have a parity issue, which means that a lot of work has to be duplicated. We're seeing this happen, or we're seeing the reverse version of this in terms of complaints happen the other way right now, where everyone is really upset that something that was added in the Bedrock preview for the Sulfur update, if you're curious, I'm talking about that one bug to do with launching, Sulfur cubes as a form of infinite flight. People are upset about that being patched out, from the Java edition, but it's not being patched out. It was just never in the Java edition to begin with. You cannot patch that feature which does not exist in a game. I guess is an important slogan that I'm gonna throw at you right now. You can, you can't patch features that don't exist, and so, but that is something that a large part of the community does not hear, or chooses not to at the very least, and so as a result, huge anger. Parity has issues, and it also has like huge strengths. In theory, we could have two teams developing, trying to work out the best version of an update, and then porting that one across both. But in its current reality, porting causes a huge extra deal of work. But I also think that, that's kind of me here saying updates have changed because our expectations have changed. Updates have changed because they need to do things for not just the Java edition, but for Bedrock. And also they need to be on top of bugs in a way they didn't have to. And also they've got some people probably breathing down their neck saying, do we need to release stuff this year, or should we have this year's big announcement be the Summer of Fun Drops update, where every day this summer we'll have a new fun thing happen, and that new fun thing will be marketplace content? Because ultimately, one of the things that's happened through Minecraft's, not stagnation, but slowing down of content, is that marketplace content has been trying to fill the void, because ultimately it also provides an April Fool's-like solution, admittedly one you can pay for, if you instead, in the same way that the Java community just renounced the 1.9 update. For years, combat players refused to play 1.9. For years, modders stopped making mods after 1.7 or 1.8. There was just a long time where people said, yeah, 1.8 is perfect, and that's the way I like it, and we're going to stick here. For years, the content was made not by Mojang for those people, it was made by modders, and this is a common story for many games. Many games survive on the backs of modders, and honestly, we should all be thankful to them. Everyone salute your favorite mod developer, add-on, whatever. Salute the people who are making your games that you want in the way that you want them to be made. But this is something that I think also drives, at least some amount of the decision-making at Mojang, which is to say that clearly, at some point, you have to say that, yeah, if people are going to be mad at any update to the game, they won't be mad at the updates that they can choose. So that is something that takes a big priority. Every single update, there is something being added for add-on creators. I am not the most add-on minded person in the world, even though I do run a marketplace team. We've released 2 add-ons, and we are working on a very, very weird third one right now, if you want to know an update into what's going on there. It's kind of on the back burner while we get the creative world out there, but I'm very excited for, my whole thing in Minecraft is just, I want Minecraft to be harder. Very few add-ons do this, so I do it myself, damn it. But anyway, let's just waste a firework to get back up there. I need more orange stained glass anyway, so let's grab it. And then let's talk about the fact that Minecraft updates changed, but as I mentioned was the point of this video, so did we. I think that we have changed fundamentally in a way where even if Minecraft updates didn't change, I think we would still be a little bit, crockety, old people sort of vibes. And hear me out on this. Okay, so let's fly all the way to the top here. And then once we've got these blocks placed down, we're going to make a nice flat surface. I need to place all of these pillars to get them up to the rest of it, and then we'll be good. Okay, so, also, I think I should start stripping more of these, but I want to have like stripped, unstripped, stripped as my model, but we'll think about that later. It's easy to just come around and do that later with some scaffolding or something. Okay, so which is a cool update, by the way, that we didn't appreciate much at the time, but do appreciate a lot later. Minecraft is filled with, it's certainly becoming more and more filled with features like this, where they're hard to appreciate in a deep way when they come out, but are massively appreciated after the fact. And my favorite example of that is scaffolding. I think a lot of people wanted to like scaffolding, but very few people did until then, until they rolled out, a few more updates, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that's awesome. Whereas the reverse thing happened with Happy Gas. I feel like a Happy Gas should be the solution to a build like this, but it's not. I just want to go back to scaffolding. Maybe maybe that's because Minecraft has changed. Maybe they just didn't design the Happy Gas well. Or, hear me out, second possibility here, right? The second possibility is, like I've been mentioning so far, we changed. I can talk all day long about how Minecraft developers have changed their approach towards risk, and but ultimately, also, we as a community have changed our approach towards risk. The reason why some people feel comfortable saying insane stuff like, man, Minecraft should just not add features for a year, is because they like Minecraft in its current form. If I'm being honest, if you told me I'm going to a desert island, I will have, I can bring one game with me But if it's Minecraft, I won't have any updates. I would play Minecraft without updates for 5 years, rather than I would play another game like, Fortnite or whatever that does get updates. Because even though updates are a great part of why I love Minecraft, they are a really additive part of this game to me. Also, these stairs, they're not. I don't know. Where did the stairs go? Did I just not place them over here? I guess that's what happened. Useful to know. I really want to have this like double stair thing look correct, so I've got to pay attention sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, one of the things that I think is really weird is that we have changed a whole bunch alongside Minecraft. We have changed a ridiculous amount, and an easy version of that, like I could go into the philosophical angle and say, you're literally a different person than you were years ago, because it would be literally true. You are not the same person that you were when you started this video, but on a deeper level, when you started playing Minecraft, you literally had fewer formed brain cells. Like, you did not have the same thoughts at the same cadence and same everything else as you do right now. You have changed. Also, why did I place those blocks there? Now, that's a pain that current me has to deal with. You have changed, and we are always changing. And so it means that what might have felt magical when you first began them, like when I first started Minecraft updates, there was, partially through this channel, because obviously I was playing the game because of this. So when I first started following Minecraft updates for the Xbox 360, it really felt magical and like basically anything could be added. Then I later learned, like, oh yeah, so it basically follows Java updates one-to-one. They sometimes move stuff around, but it means that if you want to know how a feature is going to work on console, because of how faithfully they were porting it, you could just play with the feature on Java. That's why I started my, it was called Feature Preview Series at the time, but I started the series of, like, playing around with features before they came out, because you could do that. As weird and insane as that sounds, you could know exactly what was going to happen before it did. And so even though that was cool, after a year of that, it kind of ruined the magic. And honestly, it's something that Minecraft console fixed by just catching up to Java, such that you didn't need to, outside of maybe snapshots. But it literally meant that there was this catch-up phase, and once the catch-up phase was done, it was like, oh yeah, now that we've finished that, I guess, we can move into the all-important work. Once we had finished catching up with Java, stuff like minigames were added, and I'm not going to go into a console rant. I could do a 16-hour video about that. I accidentally have a 2-hour video about the console edition mashup packs coming out, despite my best attempts to make that shorter. But what's there are some things that I could talk about forever, and one of those I think is the fact that you changed. People used to say, like, in school, like, you changed, man, as if it was like this like negative thing, and it's like, no. That's good. Great job. Thank you for reaffirming that I am changing. I really, really put in work to change. And if I haven't been changing, that certainly is a bad sign. Thank you for reassuring me that I am changing. But also, screw you if you're trying to imply that for some reason that change isn't a good thing, or indeed that people should aspire to be the same person they've always been. I'm a big believer in the opposite, but because we are changing, it means our priority changes. And so, in the same way that in the real world, you'll spot this as your friends one day enter their late 20s or early 30s, you'll see people who become very much focused on stability. The classic example is the human example is like, oh yeah, you got to get your house sorted, got to get your you start working on your garden more and stupid stuff like that. But in the same way, eventually Minecraft becomes about stability. I have so much that I want to do with the features that already exist that sometimes it's like, so what should I do now that we have new ones? Sometimes there's a part of me that's like, okay, awesome, now I know exactly what I'm going to do. Like I said, if you threw me onto a desert island for 5 years, I would come back with incomplete Minecraft projects. To put it that simply. So if this is free tool, then that means the next one should be 2 tool. But I've done that by mistake over there. So we can fix this quite easily. No, yeah, if this is free tool, then the next one becomes 2 tool. Okay, yeah, we got this. And then we just got to come over here and we just got to fix that and make this an extra 2 blocks tool. And then all is forgiven, all is better. And then that is just wrong. That's 4 blocks tool when it should be 3 blocks tool. Yeah, easy peasy. And then we can just stack up the rest of these blocks here, make this nice and even and tool at the top. And then we could start placing our upside down staircases on this side too. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have some amount of symmetry happening here today, shall we? So it's the bottom block here that has the first bit of staircases added, and then the next one comes on top of that. Okay, easy peasy. So with that said, I think that in the same way that I talk a lot about how there are some builds I'll never plan, every now and then I'm like, okay, but I think that this is one that I should. Because I want this to be a monument that lasts for a long time, I'm thinking now like, okay, I will put some extra work into the creation, such that at least, even if I don't like it, which I probably won't in how many years' time, I'll at least be able to see the effort that went into it in a way that made me think in a way that I wasn't expecting to. You know, that's a weird thing to say. Oh, have I messed this up? No, I haven't, but I'll be more careful and I'll start on the bottom layer and only move on to the top one when I finish that. That's probably the best thing I can do to avoid that mistake happening again. Okay, so that goes there, and here we go. Easy peasy. So yeah, I think that I think that planning is something that is, you start to do a little more of. We all start to become like different people, and our priorities start to change, and that ultimately changes how we deal with Minecraft updates. The updates are changing, but like I said, we are too. You know more about the update process, you know more about the snapshot process. It used to be, I think, for a lot of people, quite a magical day, myself included, when a snapshot came out and it had major new features. That was like a major reveal, like, whoa, they just did that just out of nowhere. But now, partially because Mojang have become more predictable, and partially because I've become better at predicting them. I literally have to for my job here. Partially because I've become better at predicting them, it's now like, oh yeah, we were expecting a big snapshot today. It would have been weird if they didn't roll this out. And that difference in expectations becomes the difference between a pleasant surprise and what we might say is on the reverse of this, which is to say like expectation. Anticipation is exciting, and expectation is, yeah, when will this thing finally happen? I've been waiting for this. God, it's taking too long. And it is amazing how fast as humans we can jump from one of those two feelings to the other. How fast we can go from, this is magical. I don't know, when you first start driving, this is something I feel like, as someone who started driving way later in life, when you first start driving, there's this weird thing where the world is your oyster, where you can, like, all of a sudden, you can go anywhere. The only thing, once you've paid your fixed costs of the car, which are really high but people forget about for some reason, but like once you paid your fixed costs of the car, now the additional cost to go to Wales for the day or to drive to Scotland or whatever, it's the cost of fuel and your time. And so all of a sudden the world opens up. There's this like magical feeling. But people get used to that so quickly, and then it becomes, oh, well, the M47 is down today, or traffic's so bad, why has everyone else got places they want to go when, like, why are they doing that? I can't believe all this traffic on the road. These traffic people are stopping me from going where I want to go, because I am objectively not traffic, and they objectively are. Like, people get so quickly, or people do go so quickly from this is a magical thing to, oh dear God, I hate all these other people on the road and traffic is bad and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot, oh man, a lot of people have that like loss of the magic moment. And I think that loss of the magic is broadly, I would say, equatable to, for some people, losing the magic of Minecraft updates. At a certain point, you're gonna, at a certain point, the magic of the update goes away for people, it seems. And I think that is a grand shame, but also something that it's very hard to do much about. It's a grand shame that seems like it will continue existing. And so the change in expectations, I think, also is something that affects Mojang too. As we go from, oh, this is awesome, great job, Mojang, thanks, mate, to, oh man, we were expecting a big snapshot today and we only got 3 features. Come on, Mojang, work harder. I think it kind of changes that a little bit. In the same way that, again, I'll use the road example again because I think this is crazy. Like, isn't it a miracle that most of the time you can drive most of the places you want with relatively little issue? The silly thing is, even whenever I go to a restaurant and it's like just okay or even bad, I still remind myself, like, man, someone just cooked for me and then they're going to take away the dishes. They're not going to ask me to help them clean up afterwards. what an awesome thing this is. Like, you know, gratitude as an attitude is something that oh, gratitude is an attitude, it rhymes, beautiful. But gratitude, okay, this shouldn't be here actually. I'm gonna remove all of this because I think for a train station, again, we're matching St. Pancras. I think for this train station to match, it's got to have like a grand tower here or something. I don't know what that's gonna look like, but I know we need one. Also, I think that this roof probably should go a few blocks in. It's painful to have this realization, but I think that all of these blocks should basically go in 2 or 3 blocks. Yeah, we'll do that. It'll suck, but we'll do it. So let's just place a block there, and then a block over, like, here. That's upside down for some reason. Okay, that sucks. So yeah, I think that, I think the magic becomes lost so quickly in so many parts of life, and I've always thought that that's a shame, but I particularly feel like it's a shame when it comes to Minecraft. The number of people who are flaming Minecraft developers, when, like, these are people who love Minecraft so much that they got it as a job. Some number of, you know, like, if you picture them as, like, you know, this is, even if they weren't, right? Even if these were people who just solely picked up Minecraft because, you know, they needed some money and it was a job that they technically had the skill set to do. You know, that's relatable. Not for me, actually. I'm sorry. I love what I do here on YouTube. Hate to tell you. Hate to tell people in my real life. If I'm being honest. We can do therapy of Toy Cat for 20 seconds. I really love, you know, this whole thing. I enjoy it a great deal. And so sometimes it's like, you know, like, even though there are challenges, sometimes, you know, there's like an assumption. People are like, oh yeah, well, you wouldn't get that, would you? Because you work a fake job, Mr. Toy Cat. You do something you want to do at least some of the time. That's not how jobs are meant to work. Therefore, I hate you. And there's a little bit of that. It's tricky to deal with emotionally. But yeah, it's, I guess less tricky than having people yell at me because I developed the features, but not the ones they wanted. No, but yeah, if you know, if Mojang developers were just people making ends meet, then at best the people who scream at them, and because again, I think that you're allowed to say that Minecraft updates have changed. I'm not, this isn't some Mojang apologencia if you don't agree with it, but I do think that who you take your anger out at, or indeed if you should have anger to take out at all, that's the thing that, you know, should be off some debate. And that's the thing where I, you know, have the opinion of like, yeah, you are a crazy person if you think that, you know, like, screaming at Mojang employees on Twitter or whatever social media you find them on, if you think that's an appropriate solution, I've got some medication that I like to sell you, that I don't think that you would be very excited to buy, it sounds like by the speed and frequency of your outbursts. But no, yeah, that okay. So 2 blocks in, is that what I did over there? Like the edge block, and then a block. Yeah, edge block, then a block, then the stairs. So we'll match that perfectly on this one, because we need to make sure the roof meets in the middle, which means it needs to come in evenly from both sides. So this is the inside, which means I did go 1 block too small. Easy thing to fix, but man, am I glad that I checked. It felt right, but it wasn't right, is what many a Minecraft developer might say about, like, working at the company. Again, so this is something that, like, outside of just my individual, like, I know people, because I always am cautious when people, like, you know, if you defend your friend, it's like, of course you're going to defend your friend, but that doesn't mean that he's worth defending necessarily. He might be, I'm not sure. But so in the same way, it's like, yeah, if I know Mojang employees, I actually become biased in a way where you can trust my opinion on, you know, how passionate or whatever they are a little less. Because maybe I'd say, like, yeah, they're really passionate. They've got a drinking problem. Well, they don't. No one I know who works at Mojang has a drinking problem. Let me check that. Yeah, no one who currently works at Mojang has a drinking problem. And so, you know, as a result, they're you know, like, as a result of the fact that they're very passionate people that I happen to know, you can take my opinion on that a little bit less. But even if they weren't, you would be at best like a Karen being like, oh, I demand that my fries be, I got 29 fries in my packet today. I wanted 31, or, you know, like, whatever the case may be. As a consumer, you're not within your right, hopefully, you're not within your right mind, certainly. But, you know, as a consumer, it's not your job to scream and act like the Mojang employee's boss. It's your job to say, oh yeah, I'm not going to engage with this, or yeah, I'll engage with this. If you don't like a Minecraft update, then the actual thing you're meant to do is be like, well, guess I won't be playing this one, but they're free, so you don't do that, do you? So if you don't like a Minecraft update, then buy less DLC. That's how you can really make it sting. If you don't like a Minecraft update, then don't go out and, you know, I don't know, cancel your Realm subscription. Or indeed, you know, like just in, you know, like talking about the game even negatively is a huge driver of you know, it's marketing, right? Like in the same way that even when people talk about how Cadbury's is getting worse, you're still reminding people that cream eggs exist, and some number of those people will go, yeah, even if cream eggs are worse now, I think I would like a cream egg. So I'm just gonna get myself a cream egg. Because by the way, cream eggs have gotten worse, and this is, if only this were an Easter video, I could go on a long rant about that. But it's not an Easter video, it's a video about Minecraft updates. And so I'd like to talk about the fact that some number of people are gonna hear this whole thing and say, yeah, Toycat, because of what you said, I think you are just being a Mojang apologist. Clearly they need to up their game. And, you know, I always agree that everything can be better. I think people, you know, like as, oh man, I turned all my stone into stone slabs, and now I've got to build this out of stone slabs. But yeah, like, you know, I don't like people who say, like, yeah, things can never be better. Because of course things can be better. Of course things are going to be better. I might go as far as to say, also, did I do this right? I did not do this right. Yeah, I think things are going to get better, and hopefully this includes Minecraft too. I am very excited to live in a world where Minecraft is an even better game than it is today, but... Okay, so I think 4 of these is probably as high as we should go. So then we do another couple. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then this. And then we'll see how that matches from the other side before we commit to anything more. We might need to just go taller on this roof for it to actually match up. Anyway, a lot of people say, like, yeah, you're Mojang, Apologencia, but I do think people are working hard. And that is where things become confusing, because if I believe they're working hard, where does that hard work go? Where is that hard work being pointed at? Who is off the beneficiary of it? And I'll always point out, like, yeah, add-on content is moving crazy fast. You know, the reason I mentioned the fact that we have the add-on studios, because like every single month I get like a you know, like a ping from someone who I know who works with add-ons, or someone on the team who's like, oh yeah, here's this cool new thing we can do now. Like custom dimensions are possible, right? That's as far as I know public information. Custom dimensions are possible now, right? That's crazy. You know, so if custom dimensions are possible now, imagine what will be possible in the future. The answer is probably even cooler stuff. And so I need to really organize my inventory correctly for this, because I need slabs and stairs and blocks, but we can do that. So like, if you think about the fact that custom dimensions are coming, think about how many other things must be in the pipeline. I mean, I assume. Maybe they actually ran out of all the add-on content after this, I don't know. Yeah, we definitely have to go at least 1 block further up. But if we go 1 block further up, this is a really tall roof, and one that I think is going to have like a really flat top, which would defeat the whole point of having one of these to begin with. Which might be a planning flaw, or maybe that's part of the beauty. Also, it looks like the 2 sides aren't lined up correctly. Am I wrong about this? Yeah, somewhere along the way, there's been a mistake. Okay, let's work out which side it's on. Did we start from the same side? I'll bridge across using stone slabs to find out, because it will look like it's just a pillar or a beam or something if I do that. So let's bridge across there, and let's see if that's on the same layer. Oh, it's a layer lower. Oh no. So this is the wrong layer. Everything that I've just placed, I now have to place 1 more block on top of. But I can do that. I'll just place a block over here. And then we have to remove these blocks and replace them with one of these. And then we do the same for the next layer. And it's easy to do. It feels like it's impossible, but it is very possible. Love when that happens in Dota. I love when you feel like you made a giant mistake and it's not as big as you think it is. Anyway, so yeah, I think that like people say that like you know, I think the Mojang as a studio has a lot of talent, and I do think that if I'm being real with you, I think some of that talent is wasted. To have so many people at a company who we know can do so much, both from the April Fools and from their spare time, and then to limit that because of, you know, the problems of democracy, the problems of how many people are part of the community. So I think to have so many people working on the game that can't be overcome is a shame, and is honestly, if I'm being 100% real with you, that's something that we can pin basically entirely on managing, right? on management as a whole, let's just say, to keep things simple. Obviously, the Mojang corporate structure is much more confusing than that. But like, if I think that it is your responsibility when you have a team of all-stars, in the same way that, like, I don't know, sports teams, when they fail, you blame the manager, not the player. Because the player is probably playing football the best he can. I think in the same way you say, like, yeah, if Mojang are underachieving, then either it's deliberate, this is what the majority of people on the team believe, or it's not deliberate, and therefore someone should, this is something they can fix. And that's weirdly enough, that's where this video would have ended if I had made this 2 years ago. If I'd have made this after Trails and Tales, this is where the video ends, and I go, yeah, someone in the management team probably needs to up their, that's not to say, like, oh, you should be pushing your employees harder, force them to do crunch. As I understand it, could be wrong here. This is just my understanding. Is Mojang actually banned crunch after the huge game dev, the controversies that came out of it a good few years ago. So I'm not saying, like, yeah, overwork your developers and underpay them so that we can get the best product. Because in a way, that's what you kind of want at McDonald's, right? Everyone who says, like, oh yeah, McDonald's has gone up in price is complaining about the extra money that because it's not that McDonald's profit margin has gone up from 5% to 50%. It's not that all the extra price is going on things McDonald's want, in the same way that, like, if you get paid a bunch more, a lot of your money isn't going on, jet skis and hookers or whatever. Like, it goes on, there are costs that you have that you subtract from how much money you have before you work out how rich you are or are not. And so in the same way, like, yeah, McDonald's prices going up is them saying they will either spend more money on the food, partially because they have to, partially because of new choices, and also spending more money on the people. You should want, arguably, right? You should, outside of businesses that have super high profit margins, where arguably they should pay out of that, you should want to, this is my crazy opinion, you should kind of want to have your, like the businesses you frequent pay their employees well. But at least people seem to want that. I mean, people don't want that, I guess, is my real point here. Like, people say they're angry about McDonald's price decreases, but if they cut the amount they paid farmers and the amount they paid their staff, even if they also cut their profit margins at the same time, people would be mad. They'd be like, no, this should have come entirely from you guys. And I think that is a deeper discussion about economics than we should be doing in a Minecraft video. So I'm going to say that, yeah, I think that there is an issue of the priorities. Here's an easy example. Minecraft has been focusing so heavily on trying to get you to play it with friends. Look, there's a social draw here now. Oh, look at that. I can look who's playing. Bearded one, do you want to play with me? Harrison? Oh, hello, Harrison. You want to play with me? I can invite you to my game instantly. There are so many things that have been fast-tracked. And it's like, well, if we had the ability to fast-track, shouldn't we have done that for the new combat system that is 10 years delayed now, by the way? It's officially 10 years right now. Woo! I think that major bugs are ignored on the Bedrock version especially. It's been most of the year that if you go into a brand new world in creative, cheats are disabled. And the cheats, again, I don't use cheats in my Let's Play here, but if I was going to switch to creative to use cheats for whatever reason, like I'm saying when I do Seed Sundays and stuff, the cheats button is so far down. It's actually not as far down in the Realms menu, but it's a real, like, just pain quality of life. Everyone suffers every day, and because it doesn't affect the bottom line directly, then it's ignored. There are issues like this, to be clear. But I do think that Mojang looks at the issues they have with, like, okay, so there is more and more criticism. There is, people are liking updates less and less. And I think that they've come up with a solution. This is why the video doesn't end, 5 minutes ago. And that solution is drops. The solution to Minecraft's crisis of the community being substantially harder to please, their solution has been quite simple and straightforward, honestly. They have moved to a system of drops. Instead of releasing one update every, year, instead of releasing, like that one big yearly update, now Minecraft releases drops. And drops are great because, let me try and find a list of reasons why drops are great. No, but more seriously, rather than, dunking on drops here, I think that drops do actually really fill they fill some niche in the... Is that a creeper jockey? Okay, that's a creeper inside of a spider. Concerning, but less concerning. Yeah, I think that Minecraft switching to drops has a massive upside for a lot of people, if we're being entirely honest. Also, I am now basically out of pale oak, but let's see if we can't finish this little tower, at least to the vibe idea, so I can see what it looks like from the outside. This is my simple idea for towers. Build like that, and then have it come in, and maybe do some fancy stuff with stairs, and then, you know, have that come in an extra block after this, and then have an extra block over there, and then have this block, like, go up a little bit, because it has to be a tall tower. Maybe have some glass panes or something. Let's see how that looks, shall we? Yeah, I kind of like it. It feels like it needs to feel thinner, but I think once I build the proper roof up there, it will feel that way. Also, I could do it probably stacking up the roof another layer or two. Seeing it from the outside, it's not as ridiculously intimidating as it looks in person. One of the reasons why planning is so hard. Sometimes when you get really close to something, you forget how it looks to the average person. I sometimes wonder if Mojang employees have this. Like, they are very close to the drop system. You know, they're so close to the community that they might see all of the complaints that do numbers more than they see the actual feedback that probably would help them more. Like, there is a huge degree of good feedback. I mean, the simple stuff would be like, yeah, healing sucks on Bedrock, so either decide if you're going to add new combats or just fix the healing. You have to do one of those two things. By doing, you know, like, sometimes by not deciding between two good solutions, you are picking a third bad solution. This is one of the hardest things I have to, like, remind myself. Like, there are some videos that I really, really want to make, and I'm like, but I won't do it until I can do this thing for it, you know, this really hard task. But because I force myself to do that thing first, but I don't have the time to, or it's not possible for whatever reason, sometimes I let perfect become the enemy of good, and I do nothing. And it's scary that happens, and that it happens to so many people, but it really does. There's a huge amount of good that is not being done in the world because people feel like they could be doing better. And, you know, like, there's a huge amount of bad that is allowed to be done this way. And I feel like it's one of the biggest shames. But I also feel like Minecraft directly, again, to be real here, Minecraft has directly allowed themselves to do, basically. You know, by ignoring combat for so long, that's something that could be done. So the drop system, though, I think is a really good solution in theory, because now they can work on stuff, rather than having to commit a whole year to something, they can work on stuff that is much more limited in scope. But I think then the drop system creates its whole own set of problems. If I dare I say this, I think that the drop system creates a lot of issues. And the biggest and easiest one to point out would be that, like, yeah, the drop system... No, have I done something wrong here? Yeah, this is just one block too high up. This should be a staircase. There we go. Yeah, I think that, if I may say this, I think that the drop system means that so many updates are now perceived as being, you know, tiny. I think the tiny takeover is the classic example. If you don't care about pixel retextures, then there's nothing in there. But in a way, I see that and I think, yeah, that's a big problem. And then I realize, actually, this is what the drop system is here for. It's so they can work on something and not be committed to a whole year to what might be a bad idea. And it means that they can better delegate resources in the team. And honestly, I think that the drop system is probably in time going to fix these issues. But then that raises the question, like, so why do people dislike it? Like, why is the drop system not liked? And I think this is the same reason that any change is never popular at first. It's not what people are used to. When you go from, you know, even though they're trying to rename them as best as they can, and even though they're trying to explain, like, yeah, they're drops, not updates. Look, they've got a new update system. That's how, you know, name. They're called 26.1. That's how you know they're nothing like updates. You can tell people that all you like, but an update to a game is an update to a game. You know, whether it's a bug fix or a real one, or a big content update or a small one. And I think that is something that is, on the other end of things, clearly having an impact. So I think that, yeah, I think that this would be a much better place to have the two sides meet. I think it's... No, let's do one more. Let's go crazy. I can always remove it later. one more on each of these, and then we'll have the big grand roof. Or even let's just switch from what it is right now to just stairs going like this. As soon as we get over there. Yeah, let's just start having our stairs go like this. And then we'll meet at a nice, normal, classic OG Minecraft build. Point in the middle. It'll be beautiful. Anyway, so yeah, I think that the drop system has changed things and arguably could change them for the better, but whether it will or won't is still something we're going to have to wait and see about. Yeah, I think it's a little peak. That makes some sense. There's a little curvature at the top, and otherwise it's a very steep hill. We now have a roof plan. We just have to follow it. And oof, man, following plans and me could not be imagining that. So yeah, to kind of bring this one back to make sure we wrap up our point correctly, Minecraft has changed a lot. And because, you know, like, although we can put some of that change down to you and some of that change down to the game, the developers are changing hugely how it is that they are interacting with us. And I think that that could be for the worse. I hope that the community spirit goes forward, and I hope that the you know, the corporatization of Minecraft policies is something that is limited. Hopefully, it's certainly more limited than it is right now, because it feels like big things can happen at Minecraft HQ, but only when they're big and important for business reasons. And I think that it's worth taking a risk on a major update here or there. But maybe that's me only saying that because I would like a risk until it's one that I don't like. I mean, I like the idea of a combat update, but what if they make the cooldowns really slow and annoying? I'm not going to like it for a bit at first. Some of the best changes to Minecraft are the ones that you barely notice when they first come out. Look at this baby pig. Or indeed, look at this. I spent 2 hours after the Tiny Takeover came out, proving that even with a tiny update, you can have fun. I made Sea Sharty too. It's gotten a lot older while I've been building this. It's beautiful, and it's so beautiful that I know it won't have any copyright issues. Anyway, though, you know, like, there is so much fun to be had, even with the tiny updates right off the bat or afterwards. And I think that with so many updates, weirdly, they might run into the issue sooner rather than later of updating too much. I've made this entire video under the assumption that what people dislike is how Minecraft are developing things in a way that is against their interests. But really, there's a huge number of people who, when they're picturing that, they're like, yeah, they're adding too much to the game. Why are they doing this to me? I just want to chill and mine at Y13 or have my crossbow. Sorry, I don't want to have a crossbow. I want a regular bow. What's the crossbow doing in this game? As Minecraft grows, the huge diversity of opinion grows with it. And I think that that's one of the hardest things they have to deal with. But yeah, my overall point with this video was to say that Minecraft updates have changed a lot, and they're going to continue to change, and inevitably some of those changes are going to be rough and awful and things that I don't want and wouldn't choose if you gave me the choice. But I think that that's also some of the fun. Speaking of some of the fun, actually, I think that this corner looks a bit ugly. What if we throw a little wall in here? Hear me out here, right? We throw a wall and then a wall and then a block and then a... No, wait. We shouldn't be a block. But let's put some walls there and then, like, some walls here. And now look at that. Now it's, like, it's wider or something. Anyway, with that said, yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found it to be useful. It has been 53 minutes of uncut discussion about Minecraft updates. And my conclusion, if I can now draw one, if I dare to, my overall conclusion on this is kind of just, I think that I think that it's really easy to say that change is bad, and I have the exact same instinct that everyone has where I look at things, but I think that the actual broad issues are the ones that are weirdly being annoyed. Like, for every person who complains that, like, they didn't add a bug from Bedrock to Java when it made something cool, every single one of those people is missing the fact that when I leave my world right here and I go to create a new, when I go to create a new world, instead of creating a new world right off the bat, it's like, would you like to actually download a marketplace template? I hear actions and stuff is really good. Man, I'm happy for that success, by the way. 126,000 reviews. Must mean they've sold like at least 1 million copies. How much is it? Like $10? It's crazy. Anyway, but like, yeah, the fact that the fact that it's immediately trying to sell you the moment you're even loading up a new world, it's ludicrous, and it gets a pass because people would rather be mad about the development structures on the inside, or that Minecraft only adds 2 features in an update. And while people are, it's kind of like controlled opposition to me. While people are mad about that, Minecraft was made by real people. While people are bad about that, they miss the real stuff underlying it. And so with that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Did you know that I've been playing Minecraft for 548 days now? Oh, I'm about to hit 2 trillion blocks traveled. No, 2 billion. I'm not Microsoft. I don't make trillions. Anyway, thank you. And if you enjoyed this Let's Play, you might enjoy last week's one, where all of the audio is up now. Will I do another one? Probably not, but who knows. Thank you. Goodbye.